All right. It's time for another podcast. It's your boy Leo G here, and we're back for another edition of the Leo G Show. I am Leo G, and podcasting is what we do, man. Brand new year, same podcast. Those are brand new year though. 2022. We are now officially in 2022 as we record this podcast, man. So I got to go ahead and start it off. I got to introduce the co-host of this podcast. We have a good one for tonight as we start off 2022. I'm gonna hand it over to my boy that's podcasting live out there in South Carolina, South Kakalaki. My boy Derek, what's going on with you, man?
Happy New Year, Leo G. Happy New Year, Mr. Banks. It's 2022, and I'm ready to get this thing popping.
2022 is the same. We started with the same energy that we rolled off of 2021, but it's all good, man. Moving into a new year, man. I feel good about this year. Feel good about the podcast, man, and what we've been doing, man. So I got to pass it none other than my boy Banks over there, man. Of course, Banks, you missed the last show, but you're here with us today, 2022. What's
Happy
going
New
on, man?
Year, Leo G. How you feeling? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling all right, man. I'm feeling good, man. Everything is cool. Everything is copacetic, man. I'm glad we're able to be together, man, and do this show, man, because we got a lot to talk about and a lot to dive into tonight, man. So, fellas, I hope Christmas has passed. Banks, I'm gonna go to you first, man. Was your Christmas great, man? Did you get everything you asked Santa for Christmas?
Absolutely, Leo. I got everything I wanted and then some. I'm healthy. I'm alive, brother. That's the greatest gift of all.
Hey, man, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Who could ask for anything more, man? Derrico, did you get everything that you wanted for Christmas, man?
Yes, I had a smiling face on my family. I got to see my mom. I got to see my sister. I got to spend time with my nieces, my grandkids. That was like the first time we all got together in a long time in one place. So I was super, super dope and excited that I had a chance to do that. So, yes, Santa answered the bell.
All right, man. Great. I had a great Christmas as well, man. Everything went well. Everything smooth. Like you said, health, family. You know what I'm saying? I'm appreciative of you guys, obviously, of course, man, for helping me do this podcast. As always, you guys always come through, man, and we always have fun doing this podcast, man. So let's get right into it, man, because we got a lot to talk about tonight. We got a lot to get into. So before we this is kind of funny, man, because this is always it's planned, but it's unplanned. So the fits are something that we just do. But tonight is kind of funny, man, because I think either Derrico and Banks went behind my back or it was some telepathy going on. But I'll let them explain the fits and what they got on tonight, man. First, I'm gonna go to you, Banks. Tell everybody what you rocking tonight, man.
I am rocking the prime time throwback number 21 Atlanta Falcons. One of his first jerseys that he wore when Falcons were in red. So I don't know what Derrico was feeding off of me. But I guess they say great minds think alike. But hey, it is what it is, brother.
That's right. It is what it is, man. Like I said, y'all just, I don't know, y'all own it. I don't know how much y'all gonna be on it in a few minutes once we get into this show, man. But Derrico, let all the people know that's listening to the audio podcast, man, what you rocking.
Yeah, like you said, my man, we rocking the same Deion Sanders primetime jersey. I think here is yours gray or white in the
It's white.
color scheme over there.
It's white.
I can't tell. See, he got a little white. I got a little gray on mine, so that's a difference in the two. But we still on the same page with that neon Deion primetime 21 throwback, baby.
Leon Dion Primetime 21, man. I ain't mad at y'all, man. Rocking the old school joints. Well, look, I'm rocking old school, man, but not as far back as you all are. I'm rocking just a couple of years back, man. The Falcons jersey that we brought into, you know what I'm saying, the 2000s here, man. This is my tried and true jersey. Banks, you've known me and been rocking for a while. Of course, Derek Carr, I've been rocking with you for a minute as well. But this is what I call, man, my war jersey, man. We moved into the New Jerseys a couple of years ago, man, but this jersey right here is tried and true. It's been through a lot thick and thin. I think after this show, after me rocking it on this show, it's gonna be retired. Banks, as you know, man, this jersey right here has been across the pond. It went to London with me, man. I've been to several away games with this jersey. Banks, you happen to travel to a couple of away games with me in this jersey, man. We've had some great wins and we've had some terrible losses in this jersey. But it's my war jersey. It's my go to war jersey, of course. It's been through a lot, man. I think I'm gonna retire this sucker, man, and I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna frame it and probably put it up in the basement, man. Because like I said, it's been through a lot, Banks, as you already know, man. I got the captain's patch on it, man. So I thought, let me wear this tonight, man. Let me throw some nostalgia into it, and let me put it on tonight, man. Banks, you seen this jersey quite a bit, man, in our days. All the way going back to the Georgia Dome and into Mercedes Benz, right?
Absolutely. I think I recall that was also the Nashville trip. We went up to Tennessee to see the Titans and Falcons, and yeah, that was was 2015, I believe.
2015, absolutely. We rode up there to Nashville, man. And remember, we had like several outfits, man, because we didn't know what the weather was going to be like that day. So we had like a couple of different outfits to wear, man, just in case the weather changed on us, man. But like I said, man, this jersey is tried and true. Although, we got the new jersey, and you guys had the tried and true jerseys on as well. As I struggle to speak, I'm pretty sure you guys have worn those jerseys through some battles with the Falcons, man, because we're going to talk about them tonight, man, and we're going to talk about what's going on with them, man. So before we get further into the show, we're going to do the drink check, man. I'm going to go to Derek Cole first on the drink check, man. If you want to do some featuring on the drink check tonight. What's up, brother?
What's up, Leo? I've been doing a little shopping, but I'm gonna start with the beer tonight. I have to have my coolness, so I got my Stella R2 Midnight Lager. This is a limited edition. They only put this out in the fall, so if you don't get it in the fall, then you just butthole out unless you got yourself some saved somewhere. And tonight I'm sipping. I got my, my good what you call that, a McLaren, little McLaren.
That's the
glass.
juice. That's the juice in your Glencairn.
Yeah. So this is what I'm drinking tonight. I'm drinking this Weller. He know that I've been on this the last couple of days or so. Ever since I popped it open on New Year's, it's been my thing to go to now. As Leo discussed with me, when I first hit it, it had a nice little bite to it. But then my little palate adapted to it, so now it's a good smooth taste. So this is that Weller Special Reserve Bourbon.
That's what's up, man. Weller Special Reserve Bourbon, man. That's what I'm actually drinking right now, Derek Cole. So I mean, we were off on the jerseys, but we were like minded with the drink. I'm sipping on some of that now, but I'm going to feature something else in just a second as I kick it over to Banks here. He's still solo cupping it. It's 2022. He still ain't got these glasses. He'll get them eventually, I guess. We'll discuss that here in just a moment as well. But Banks, you want to feature anything, man, that you sipping on tonight, man?
As much as I've been coming to your house and we still ain't got those glasses, I think it's also some fault on the other end as well. Me, of course, for keep forgetting it, and as the host who keeps forgetting as well. But I'm doing it simple. I'm doing something that the Crown Peach. I'm keeping it simple as always. I'm not bringing out the Moet like I brought out New Year's Eve, but it was some celebrity drinking that night, and I am going to keep it back to pedestrian, very pedestrian with the Crown Peach.
At least you switched it up, so we good.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. That boy switched it up on us, man, on that Crown Peach. 2022 bringing in with the Crown Peach, man. Shout out to my boy Banks with that Crown Peach over there. We're going to still bring him into this bourbon game in just a minute, Derek Cole, man. I don't know, man. We're going to have some time here before we probably do the next podcast, man. So I think, Derek Cole, between me and you, man, we got to figure out a way to bless this man and try to figure out how we want to do this. But we'll get into the details of it later. We'll try to get him in on this and see if he'll ride with us on this bourbon game, man. I know you deep into the cigar game as well, so maybe that might be something that I'm not big on the cigars. I haven't been cigars in years, but that's one thing that I'm not into, but I might get you to feature some of your sticks, man, that you get on as well. But look, I got something that I'm gonna feature tonight. Like I just said, I'm on Wellers as well. Special Reserve Weller, pretty smooth, really, really good, man. Some good stuff. But I wanted to feature something else that I had in the collection because I thought this was pretty cool tonight. So I'm bringing out, I hadn't opened it yet, Derek Cole, man. We might have to crack this open here coming up here in the future. But bottle of Chattanooga whiskey, man. Shout out to my folk up there in Chattanooga, right up the road here from Atlanta, man. It's a nice little stop, man. Everybody that lives in Atlanta know, man, that Chattanooga is a nice little stop, man. If you're trying to get away for a weekend, if you're trying to do something cool little town to get to. And they have a distillery right in downtown Chattanooga, man. on Market Street if you want to get up there and check it out. So I got an experimental single batch series bottle of whiskey when I was up there not too long ago. It's one of the experimental things that they do when they experiment with different mash bills and all of that stuff. I don't want to get into the details of it. That's kind of boring, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to bring out, man, and show everybody. So we're going to definitely get into this bottle and see what it's talking about here momentarily. I hadn't cracked it, as you see. I need some help, man. I'm going to need some help from you fellas, man, to crack some of these things open and check them out. But I definitely want to get into it here, man. Batch 19, Chattanooga Whiskey Experimental Single Batch Series, man. So another thing in the collection. But right now I am sipping on Weller as well, and it's pretty smooth, and I like it, man. They call it the poor man Pappy's, Derrico.
Yeah, you told me about that. And one day I'll run into that unicorn getting that Pappy Van Winkle. We'll see. I know I'm going to have to run up on it.
Hey, man, we'll do it, man. We might have to go in on it together or something, man, because it's hard to find, and it's very, very pricey right now, man. The bourbon game has changed, man. And shout out to everybody in that bourbon game, man. I've been getting a little feedback from people, looking for stuff, man, and telling me that they've been intrigued with some of the stuff that I've been featuring on the show. So that's what's up, man. So got the drink check going on. Everybody feeling good, man. We looking good, man. First show of 2022 is underway, man. So, fellas, on a serious note, man, I was led to bring up a topic because of an incident that happened on yesterday. And I wanted to get you guys' take on it, but because I think it's a serious topic that we need to address and talk about. Usually we try to keep this show light, and we talk about sports and we have banter back and forth about, our opinions with our sports teams, man. But I want to take a kind of a serious note here and talk about mental health and sports. All right. So if you didn't know, as we record this show on yesterday, man, we had a very bizarre incident that happened in New York. That's the only way I can label it is bizarre, with Antonio Brown, former wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had some type of, I don't know what it was. I can't describe it. I'm going to let you guys tell me how you feel about it, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of everything. But walked off. So long story short, walked off the field. Middle of the game, jersey off, shoulder pads off, shirt off, walked off the field, said he was done, and left. Actually didn't travel back to Tampa with the team. Caught an Uber or whatever. Everybody's seen the pictures of him on social media outside of MetLife Stadium trying to get a ride back to wherever he was going. And it's like done. Bruce Arians immediately after the game, after the win up there, said that he was no longer a Buccaneer. Didn't waste any time telling the media that he was no longer a Buccaneer. Today I was reading a lot of things about what transpired and what happened, but I didn't get a lot of detail as to like just how the lead up into what really happened. But me personally, I feel like this is something with Antonio Brown and mental health. This could be all a publicity stunt. I don't know, but we've seen these incidents happen with him before. And it really brings light onto mental health in the sports realm. We've seen mental health come into play with our own team, with Calvin Ridley, who's taking a break from the season due to his mental health issues and needing to take a break and just trying to get his life and sort it out together. We've had other high-profile athletes like Simone Biles, who said that they needed to take mental break from their sport because of the issues that they're going through and the pressure that they have as athletes, man. So I wanted to talk about this tonight, man, because this is something that we're really starting to see more and more of. I mean, we were younger fellas. We didn't really talk about this, and we didn't see a lot of this in sports. It was something that didn't come up a lot. Banks, I'm going to go to you, man. I want you to tell me how you felt about what we saw at Antonio Brown yesterday. And do you feel like this is something serious and it needs to be addressed? And do you feel like, we're not putting enough into, mental health as it goes in sports, man?
Well, what I was watching yesterday from Antonio Brown, it was something that came across the ticker, showing the previews of other games, saying that he had a episode or something, and he just ran off the field and throwing the peace sign to the Tampa crowd in New York. I didn't understand. I didn't know what he was going through. Then I saw some literature about him having a contract where he would get a certain amount of money if he gets another touchdown and so many yards. And in so many words that Tampa Bay was kind of boxing him out so they won't have to pay him. And he got fed up and said, okay, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't know how true that is, Leo. I just going about what I saw, what I read. As to say his mental issues, could be. I think it's real. It's not just him. It's other players in the league that's going through it as we speak. I know this is a whole nother plane, but, CTE is real. These guys are in the trenches on the field, getting their head bashed in and week out. It's not something that someone just made up. This is something that they go through. They have to live through the rest of their lives, having brain injuries and having mental breakdowns and all kinds of just uncharacteristic behavior. So as I look at this whole situation with Antonio Brown, I hope he get the help that he needs. If it's indeed mental issues, if it is something else on that we just don't know about, I hope it gets resolved. We'll never know. But, Antonio Brown has done some crazier things besides this, outside of football, and it doesn't surprise me. So, yeah, I hope he gets the help if he does needs it. And it's a sad situation overall.
And full disclaimer, we're not saying that Antonio Brown has any mental health issues. It was just brought to my attention that, this was something out of the ordinary. And like you said, Banks, just to piggyback on what you said, man, there have been several incidents with him in the past. As of recently, they talked about him in the situation that he had, if I'm not mistaken, with his vaccination card. And then you can go back all the way to the Pittsburgh Steelers days where he was having some issues. And then, of course, we know he went over to the New England Patriots and had some issues. And now here with Tampa having issues. And like I said, full disclaimer, we're not saying that he has a mental health issue, but this was something that I wanted to bring up and talk about, man, because it's something very real that's going on in sports today. Derek, I want to get your take on what we saw and how you feel about the whole Antonio Brown incident, because we know that social media was all the buzz during the game, after the game, and of course today. Everybody had their opinion on this, and I have mine, and I'll give it here in just a moment. But I just want you to touch on how do you feel about this situation and what happened with Antonio Brown?
Well, I guess it's a twofold situation. First of all, Tampa, you knew what you were getting yourself into. So do I feel sorry for this? No, I don't. You intentionally went and got him as a as a as a pawn in the chess game, and you was like, okay, we bring him in. We know his past. We feel like he done rehabilitated or whatever. But sometimes that doesn't happen. There's some things that happened prior that they were privy to that we probably are not privy to, and they let it ride. Cool. That's how you want to act. That's fine. But don't act like you didn't feel like this could have happened as far as an organization. Now, that's what I'm going to say about the organization. Now, as far as Antonio Brown is concerned, those were some disturbing events that took place. First off, if you saw the video of him talking to Mike Evans before he basically took his clothes off and just was about to just throw it the deuces. So apparently something had happened where Mike Evans felt like he needed to go up there and basically talk Antonio Brown off the ledge. Well, we know that didn't happen because as soon as he was done talking to Mike Evans, took off the shoulder pads, threw him on the ground, started taking off his shirt, gloves, throwing in the stands, got in the end zone, threw up the deuces, like I'm gone, ran out the tunnel, never be heard of again. During the game, during while Tampa Bay had the football. So it wasn't like this was just some random act. It's almost like, okay, I'm gonna do this while y'all got the ball. Maybe y'all won't see me do this, but this is what about to happen. So I just think, there's some things that he's gonna really need some professional help with to get himself together. And I hope he does get it together because we've seen too many times where when brothers and sisters or whoever don't get the help that they need, they end up where they don't need to be, which is at a morgue.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far as to say say that. I mean, yes, Derek, it is serious, man. And I mean, what we saw yesterday, I feel like what. So my opinion is, I do feel like there is a mental issue there. I mean, mental issues present themselves in many ways, and mental health is real. Especially in the black community, man. There's always been a stigma on mental health in the black community. Um, fellas, we're pretty old, and growing up, there was never any talk about, in my household at least, I don't know about you guys, I can't speak for you all, but there was never any talk about, mental health. I mean, it was always talk about physical health and, what we needed to do and how we need to protect our bodies, but mentally, what I'm saying, how do we help ourselves and heal ourselves mentally, man? We go through so much in life, some more than others, but there's still uh, a need for mental health in our community. And it's crazy because as much as we go through sometimes as African Americans in this country, like we're expected to continue to just truck through. And that brings me up to another point. Like I feel like in sports now that there's not enough invested, especially in our community, with trying to get, the correct mental health and the correct diagnosis. Like I said, once again, I want to say that we don't know if this is a mental health issue with Antonio Brown, but if it indeed is, it needs to be addressed. Like you said, Derek, to piggyback on what you said, man. If there were signs and they knew that bringing Antonio Brown in was going to be an issue, because there were a lot of signs. Like I said, this goes back all the way back to his Steeler days, man. I mean, why not get this guy some help? Because at this point, if you knew that if this how this story was going to end, it almost feels a little bit like exploitation for this man's talents, And I feel some type of way about that, because if this man is talented and this man can help you out and you feel like you want him on your team, but you're not willing to step in and say, hey, let's get the mental help that this man needs, because at the end of the day, man, he's still a human being, right? He's still a human being. He still has a family. He has children. And this just was not a good look all the way around, And I don't know what is behind it or what's behind it. There are a lot of rumors circulating all over, of course, social media these days about what happened and why it happened. Banks, like you said, there was some incentives that he was getting blocked from, or whatever the case may be. But Banks, I'll just give it to you for a little bit more, and then we're going to kind of have to move on in the segment. But Banks, you have a little more to say.
Well, I was just about to say, when he played for Pittsburgh, he had got that hit from that linebacker from Cincinnati, Burfict. If I'm saying his last name correctly, he ain't been right since that hit. I mean, I recall, it's just been going downhill. He's been going, just going on the deep end, just doing just outrageous stunts. I'm not going to blame that hit, but it just seems kind of ironic that since that play, he just has not been the same.
Banks, I think you muted yourself accidentally, Banks.
Oh, I was done.
Are you still with me?
Done. I was just saying he wasn't the same since that hit.
Okay. So look, really quickly, I'm gonna get you guys' opinion on this, man. Specifically, just talking about the NFL. I know I kind of talked about some other sports as well and mental health and how it's affected athletes here as of recently, man. But we've watched the NFL for a long time. All of us have. The NFL has always had this aura around itself, right? And football in general. Football is, let's be real. Football is a tough man sport, right? You gotta be pretty tough to play this sport. For those of us that played it, even early on as a young age and has been watching it as a young age, man, you got to be pretty tough to go out week in and week out, to get hit, to get, take the punishment and do what you need to do. Like you just said, Banks, Antonio Brown suffered some, crazy targeting hits and, games against Cincinnati when he was up there and with the Steelers in the AFC North. But is this something now that we need to change our focus on? Because, and what I'm saying is, when we were younger, the crazier you were as a professional football player, the more exciting it was. I don't know if you guys remember, growing up and we're watching certain players. We watched the Lawrence Taylors of the world. We watched the Lyle Alzaados of the world. We watched a lot of guys. And now that I think about it, these guys, some of them were mentally unstable. They really were. But that was the game back then. That's how they played, and that's how the NFL presented it. And like you said, Banks, I know now that CTE is very real. We know that CTE is real, and the NFL has done a lot to try to change the way they do things. But I mean, growing up, man, players being mentally unstable was just a part of it. It was just a part of the act, a part of the gimmick. I mean, and the more mentally unstable that you could seem, that it fed into how you were on the field. Derek, I'm gonna come to you first, and then Banks, of course, I'll get your insight on this. Do you think we've gone? Is it now time to go away from that stigma and that whole aura of just the crazy football player? Does that need to just go away, and we need to really, really start focusing on the mental well-being on some of these players, man, and not putting that out there? I mean, just give me your thoughts on what I just said.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's harder to kind of define when you use the word. I don't like using that word crazy in the context of how we're saying this. So I'm trying to find another word. If you're a football player and you have a certain mentality, mean streak, or whatever that's been instilled in you since Pee Wee football, it's kind of hard to take that out. You know what I'm saying? Over a season or two to get your mind right because of the so-called concern for safety and protocol of the NFL, which is another thing. Since we're talking about mental health, I mean, it's just a safety issue. Period. That the NFL is putting out there as if they really care, which they really don't. And we know this. I mean, the Thursday night games, I mean, you got a 4-day turnaround. Usually these guys have a good 5-day recovery period. Now you're telling them you play on Sunday, turn around and play on Thursday night. You play on Sunday, tell them, no, you turn around and play on Tuesday or Wednesday because of a COVID issue. You know what I'm saying? These type things. When initially you said if there was a COVID issue, then they would not postpone the games, they would cancel the game, forfeit the game, and the team that had the issue wouldn't get paid. So you just basically telling us that, again, it's more about money, profit over body, mind, and soul of these players.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, man. The NFL, and I was going to talk about that, man, but I'm gonna leave that to another date, man. I think that's another topic of conversation. I want to bring somebody else in that might have a little more insight to that as well, in another podcast. But Banks, before we move on to the next topic, I just wanted to get your insight on as to how the NFL is handling these issues and how we viewed the game growing up, and where we need to turn the page as to how we view these things.
Well, just to piggyback off of what Derrico's saying, this is an angry sport. This ain't something that you can just, go with your 9 to 5 and come back home and have cake with your wife and kids. This is they have to be completely ignorant out there on that field, hitting each other constantly, all for a good bit of 2.5 hours. And you after the game, you're back to a mellow, I guess, mindset. I guess that's the right word. But when you're on that field from 1 o'clock to 4, you are playing like a barbarian. You want to crack some ribs, and just hurt, oppose hurt. So that's an angry mindset. And for you to do that for many of years, not just the pros, not just college, not just high school, like you said, the Pee Wee leagues, you have to play angry. That takes a toll. It takes a huge toll on your psyche and your well-being as an individual going forward. And I don't understand how the league will sit there and they don't see it. You know what I'm saying? It is like this. It's all about their profits. It's like they go forward. And as long as these guys are, I guess to say in so many terms, this sideshow, that people are coming to see bash their head in. It's like a modern day gladiators, like they did back in the Roman days.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
like they want to see carnage, they want to see blood, they want to see, but they want to see pressure. Well, no, we're trying to keep it, protect the quarterback, we and too, don't hit them too hard, but at the grand scheme of things, that's not what people want to see. They want to see some heads knocked off their shoulders.
Yeah.
And the NFL is benefiting from it.
It is. It's something that I want to quickly touch on. Like I said, guys, I know this is a subject that we might have to devote a whole podcast to just talk about in general, the league and what's going on as far as just like mental health and just far as um the portrayal of the game these days. Like you said, Banks, you just really you really hit it on the head as far as like that whole gladiator mentality and what some fans want to see and how their perception of the game is. It's a lot that goes into that, man. And we don't have a lot of time in this episode to actually dive deeper because Banks, you and I have had some conversations and they get really, really deep as how some fans view players, especially African American players. We've talked about this, Banks, Derek Cole, and you also understand how this goes. So, like I said, I think we'll have to come back to this, circle around, and have a deeper dive into this when we talk about mental health and we talk about just the whole state of affairs when it comes to the NFL and what's going on there. But I just wanted to touch on that because that Antonio Brown episode was just really, really crazy yesterday. So moving forward here, let's go. We're gonna get into it now. Whew, man. This is gonna be the meat of the show here, fellas. And we're gonna talk because since we all wear Falcons gear, let's do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and let's talk about these Falcons, man. So season is not postseason hopes for the Atlanta Falcons are now officially over, fellas, as the Atlanta Falcons take an L to the Buffalo Bills 29-15 up there in a snowy 15-degree Buffalo up in Orchard Park right outside of Buffalo. That's where they play. 29-15 was the final score. Buffalo advances. They playoff berth, win the AFC East. Falcons out, officially out. It's a lot to digest, but we're just gonna get into a couple of things that I want to really, really discuss and talk about, man. Derek Cole, how do you feel now, man? Postseason hopes are now over, done. How do you feel about that now? Postseason is over, man. Officially eliminated. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I felt like I did at the beginning of the season. I felt like this team was not going to be good enough to go to the playoffs.
I mean, well, specifically, Derek Cole, are you relieved now that they're mathematically out, or do you feel as though? I mean, because
it's still what I said. I mean, I've been the same way. The needle hasn't moved as far as my playoff aspirations for this team. I mean, that they're out officially. I mean, that just says, okay, they're out officially. I mean, there's no ill will feel that I got about them not making the playoffs because I just knew that this was not a playoff team. So them being officially eliminated will hopefully start a different conversation within the organization and the fan base.
Banks, it is what it is now. Falcons now officially eliminated for postseason play. I want to say this is the fourth year in a row, third or fourth year, if I'm not mistaken, in a row that we've been eliminated from postseason play. How do you feel about it? Are you relieved? Are you ecstatic? Are you happy? Are you sad, man? Give me tell me how you feel, man. Give me the raw, give me the real on how you feel about us being eliminated from postseason.
Once again, this is, me and Stacey thinking alike, man. I have no feeling. Like, this was the feeling I had back in August. Like, I knew going in that we're not a playoff team. So why should I be disappointed or happy or sad or disgusted? It is what it is, brother. I mean, it's just the fact that it took this long for it to be official. Maybe that's what it's January. Now we're just now talking about them being eliminated, where in my mind, I mean, I hate to say it, they were eliminated back in September. So, I mean, I don't know what, I guess my expectation was what it was. This is a team that they didn't say was rebuilding, is rebuilding, by the way. And I don't care what you say. This is going to be a process. Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith got a long road ahead of them. This ain't going to be no quick fix. This is not something that you're going to get in one off season. It's going to take some time, Falcon fans. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. We are a 79 team, and I'm really surprised they made it that many wins. So kudos to you.
I mean, it is. You said 79. You're not going to give them. You're not going to give them one more victory.
I mean, for me, for me, you're playing the Aints. If you beat the Aints, you
hold on. Okay, wait. Y'all
no, let me address Stacey.
Banks, we'll
Let me
No,
address
no,
them.
no, 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 no. We'll circle back around. We'll circle. Oh, wait, time out. We'll circle back around to that in just a moment. I'll give you your time to talk about that game here in
I was
just a
just
moment.
gonna
We'll
say
circle
something
back
about it,
around
but
to it
okay.
because I want to talk about a few other things. Man, yeah, I know you quick at the gun. Derrico just revved you up, but we'll bring it right back. We'll bring it back because I want to talk about a couple other things before we get to the final game. So my thing is, I'm gonna tell you guys, to be realistic, man. I'm a little bit relieved now that we're out with there are no postseason aspirations for us. And the reason I say I'm a little bit relieved, man, because I was a little on the fence about how I felt about this team. This team was competing. Obviously, I know that if we did make it to the postseason, that it wasn't we weren't going very far. I knew that. But this team has competed and clawed its way this whole entire season, and I want to talk about that in here in just a moment. But like now that it's over, now that we don't have to go into this final game of wondering whether or not we're going to make to the postseason, I think this is more of a relaxed feeling for me personally. Like I said, just I like seeing the fight out of this team. If you could take anything away from that, man, this team kind of fought the whole entire season, and they got all the way up until one game out of the end of the season and got eliminated from the playoffs. I mean, take that for what it's worth. I know some guys don't like moral victories, whatever the case may be. But seeing that this team is under a new coaching staff, there's been a lot of changes. I mean, I didn't even expect that, to be honestly, man. Going into the season, I would have thought, 4 or 5 weeks ago, we would have been eliminated from the playoffs. I had no idea that we were going to go into the second to last week before the end of this season to be eliminated from the playoffs. Which brings me to my next thing, man, going in here. So I had another bullet point on the outline, fellas, but I want to jump into something else, man. Let's grade Arthur Smith right now, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons this year, and what he's done with this team. Of course, we know that he's basically cooking with somebody else's groceries. And like I just said, you know, this dude really he put together, something pretty decent, man, playing with a team that he didn't put together. I mean, obviously, yes, fell short, didn't make the playoffs. Record is a lot better than what we saw last year. The fight is a lot better than what we've seen in a couple of years. Like I said, Derrico, you and I discussed a mentality shift. And Derrico, as I kick it over to you, we've seen a mentality shift this year and seeing this team find ways to win games in situations that in the past they weren't able to come out on top of. Obviously, yes, we beat teams that we were supposed to beat, but I go back to that Detroit Lions game, a game that, we found a way to win. Obviously, it was an interception at the end of the game, but we found a way to win. This team has lost a lot of games because mentally I feel like they didn't know how to find ways to win. And what I'm happy to see is that I think there's a shift in mentality. These guys finding a way to win, and I think that starts with Arthur Smith. So I want you to give me your feedback into that, and I want you to give me a grade on Arthur Smith and how you felt like he's done this season.
I'm agreeing with you, Leo, as far as the groceries that he had to try to cook gourmet meals with for 16, now almost 17 weeks in the season. I commend him. At first I was like, oh, we just getting our butts beat up and down the field, like whatever. And then I started seeing a different, like you said, a mentality change as far as some of the games that we played in which we won. Like when normally we felt like we would have lost those games. So I feel like that's one thing that started off well is the fact that the cultural change of how to win, how to finish. Those are the two biggest things that I'm taking away from this season. Now, as far as a grade is concerned, I'll give him a B minus. I would have gave him a B plus if he wasn't so bad in the red zone. I would have gave him a B plus. But since he's so bad in the red zone, which is one of the things that we thought that we were going to be able to fix this year, and it's still not working, B minus.
B minus. All right, that's what's up, man. Banks, I'm gonna kick it over to you, man. I want you to give me your input, your thoughts on Arthur Smith his first year, and I want you to give me your grade.
Well, looking at also Arthur Smith, coming in and, he had this big speech about, I didn't come here to rebuild and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, Arthur, we know what it is. Looking at the roster, though, just holding it up in your hand and looking at this roster, and not counting the fact that Calvin Ridley went through his episode, and our offensive line playing like the way it did, and Julio Jones end up leaving even after the draft was over. You would say it like straight up 2 wins at best. But for him to come out and see how this team is playing, regardless if it was close or not against lesser teams, you still won the game, especially against the Detroit team where they came in kind of on a momentum run. They beat Arizona the week prior, so they were feeling good about themselves. They come into Atlanta and we made an important stop. Arthur Smith is getting the best out he can out of this team, and it's not a lot. You have a wide receiving core is not probably the worst wide receiving core in the league by far. I mean, it's nobody on that wide receiver core will start for any other team in this league, and you still somehow, some way, getting the best out of them. Congratulations, Kyle Pitts, with your 1,000-yard season. That's the only highlight I have on that offense. The only one. Well, besides CP, but we'll talk about that. As a grade for Arthur Smith, I'm gonna probably give him. I was leaning more towards a B plus for just because of the roster that he had. But I'll have to say a B minus. I guess to piggyback off of Stacy, the red zone has been atrocious. But it's not really his fault either because the offensive line is trash. Your games are won at the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? So,
well, and Banks, not to cut you off here, but we got to kind of move on in the conversation here. But that goes to what he had, Banks. That just goes to what he had as far as the offensive line. And yes, we did draft some offensive linemen, and yes, we've had some high expectations with some of the guys on the line. But this is still let's be real about this, man. This is 75 to 85% of a team that these guys did not pick between Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. So yes, he's gotten the most, in my opinion, he's gotten the most production that he could out of the talent that we have, offensive line included. I mean, they've done what they could. So my grade for Arthur Smith at this point, man, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give him a solid B plus. And it could have been higher. But I will agree with you, Derek Cole, that there have been some things that I felt like he could have made better, and it just didn't happen. Maybe moving forward, he will. But I feel like given what he had and given the mentality change and the shift in what they've been able to do this year, man, I got to give him a B plus, man. I have to. Seriously, man, because I didn't expect much out of this team after I felt like Dimitroff and Dan Quinn kind of left us for dead. But he came along, man, and kind of, did what he could, man, with what we have. Obviously, no playoffs is highly disappointing, but I think the future looks bright. I think that once this turnover happens with them bringing in players that are needed to fit the scheme, that are needed to do certain things, because like you said, Banks, there are a lot. We have a lot of holes to fill, and it's gonna have to be patient. I'm going to have to be patient, man, because it's going to take multiple drafts and multiple offseason signings, man, to get us back in a position, in my opinion, to where I feel like we're going to be competitive, man, and we feel good about competing all the way to getting a Lombardi, man. So one other thing I want to talk about, and I wanted to talk about a couple other things with the Falcons, but we got to kind of push forward in this show because of time constraints. But Banks, I want to basically come at you, and Derek Carr, I get your opinion as well. So Kyle Pitts, you talked about it just a little bit here as being a bright point in the offense. Banks, I know you were very, very critical about Kyle Pitts and him being drafted as high as he was at number 4. But Kyle Pitts has done some very, very special things here, man. He's a 1,000-yard receiving tight end. As a rookie, I think he's close, if not has eclipsed Mike Dicker's rookie record. He hasn't eclipsed it, as Derek O'Jake said, but he's very, very close to it. 1,000 yards as a rookie tight end. He's done some very, very special things, and he's put a lot on his back, like you just said, Banks. With the receiving core we have here in Atlanta, man, wasn't a lot of help. So he put a lot of stuff on his back as a rookie, man. So Kyle Pitts, man, there was a lot of hype. You were very passionate about him being called a unicorn, and him being drafted as high as he was. As we close the season out, Banks, where are you now, and how do you feel about Kyle Pitts and what he's proven, and where do you see him moving forward with this organization?
Well, I can't really say because I think the roster's incomplete. For what I've seen from him individually, I think he did a phenomenal job quietly. He had 1,000 yards, but he still only had one touchdown. So I guess in a sense, that's kind of like the reason why it was quiet, because you didn't really hear him getting in the end zone. He had one great play last week. He had that 60-some yarder receive and went down the field on the sidelines. But I think he should have a good career here in Atlanta. Get some more weapons on this offense. Maybe you can see him more. As for the unicorn moniker, I'm just not gonna. I'm not buying that. Still, I'm still on the. You got to show me. You got to show me why you're a unicorn. You got to show me more than just catch and fall. And I got 1,000 yards. Now, show me more than that, brother. I'm.
All right, all right, all right. Gotta show him more. Hey, so Kyle Pitts, man, you gotta show him more. You got 1,000 yards, made a Pro Bowl. We need about 13 or 14 touchdowns for Banks to be impressed. As I put it over, move it over to Derico. How you feel about Kyle Pitts, man, as we move forward to the next segment of the show, Derico?
Me and Banks on the same page. We ringing that bell today. I don't know what it is, but we own it today. I can't even play the radio with you today, Banks. Kyle Pitts did a phenomenal job. Kyle Pitts is who we thought Kyle Pitts was going to be. However, the thing that is the problem is getting into the end zone. This is the same argument that everybody had about our former number one wide receiver. He couldn't score touchdowns. So if y'all going to say y'all had a problem with J.J. Levin not scoring touchdowns, that got to be the same energy that you're giving Kyle Pitts. That's one of the things that we saw in Florida. He was getting in the end zone. That's what we saw. That's what we wanted. We wanted him to get in the end zone, and that's another reason why I said what I said about giving Arthur Smith that minus, because you got this cat and you can't get him in the end zone in the red zone.
Well, and I think, Derek Cole, just to piggyback what you said, and Banks, we'll have to come back to you here in a minute. I think you have to take that away from Kyle and put that completely on coaching. Like you just said, Derek Cole, man, I think that, we have to figure out ways, and we have to be a little more creative in getting him the ball into the end zone. He can only do so much with talent. Hold on, let me finish my point, guys. I'll let you all talk. Like I said, I think Arthur Smith has to go back to the drawing board and figure out better ways and better schemes to get Kyle Pitts into the end zone. That's just my opinion for what it's worth. You guys can disagree all you want. I say that Kyle Pitts outperformed and outshined all of my expectations because, to be honest, I kind of held back. I didn't think Kyle Pitts was going to do anything. I'm just going to be honest, man. I thought that it was a good pick for the Falcons, but to be completely honest and transparent with you all at this point, I thought Kyle Pitts was not going to give us what we saw from him. I didn't see it, but he gave us 1,000 yards and made it to the Pro Bowl. The end zone issues, I want to blame that completely on coaching and figuring out ways for us to be more creative in scoring in the end zone. Like you said, both of you all said that, we still need a little more talent to mitigate some of those things. If you put Kyle Pitts out there and everyone knows that, hey, this is the guy that they're going to go to, it's easy to triple and double and do everything you need to do to stop him from getting into the end zone. I think that there is still a disconnect with coaching, even though we move forward with another group, that we're going to have to figure out and be more creative when it comes to scoring. And that's just my take on it. But I feel like Kyle Pitts has exceeded my expectations, and I feel like he's going to have a great run as a football player in this league. But I think that coaching, going back to what you both said, coaching needs to change. The philosophy needs to change, and we need to figure out better ways to get into the end zone. I don't know where we start with that because that's been a fundamental problem for a long time. So that's why Arthur Smith gets a ding, because we were in the red zone quite a bit this year. We couldn't punch it in. So they're going to have to figure that out. I don't want to just put that all on Kyle Pitts for him trying to get open. That's something that needs to be addressed fundamentally from the coaching staff. And I know you guys want to talk more about that, but we have to move forward into the show because we're on some time here. We need to get to another topic, guys. So, and we'll come, and don't get me wrong, we'll circle back around. So really quickly before we move into our next topic, we have one thing that I want to talk about, one thing I want to address, and you guys have to, for the sake of time, quickly go through this here. So playoff hopes are over for the Falcons, right? Season is pretty much done for us, but we have one more game left, guys. And you all know that this game right here is always circled. We talked about this earlier in the podcast, and how the hate is for the Aints. So we have an opportunity to play spoiler. We have an opportunity to knock the Aints out of the playoffs this coming Sunday. They flexed the game to 425. Will this put a cherry on top of a abysmal season if we are able to knock the Aints out of the playoffs? Yes or no, Derek Cole, before we move forward? Will this be a bright point of the season if we are able to knock the Aints out of the playoffs? Derek Cole, go.
Yes, absolutely, no question about it.
Banks, will this be a bright point in the season if we're able to knock the Aints out of the playoffs this Sunday?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes.
I think that's a resounding yes. A resounding yes across the board. If them boys do what they do Sunday, knock the Aints out of the playoffs, man, it wouldn't have been all for bad. So moving forward here, moving into the next topic, man, as we close this show out, something just happened over the course of the new year, man. We had on December 31st, as we closed out 2021, going into 2022, we had the 2 playoff games here to determine who's going to the college national championship as we focus now going back to college football. So we had Alabama versus Cincinnati, Georgia versus Michigan. Georgia played Michigan in the Orange Bowl. Alabama and Cincinnati played in the Sugar Bowl out in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, to see who was going to play for the national championship that's coming up January 10th. And it's what we thought it was. Fellas, it is what we thought it was. We talked about this. I know, Banks, you went on the last episode, man, but a rematch of the SEC championship, Georgia and Alabama. Here we go again. SEC dominates. Alabama dominates, and Georgia really dominates in their performance against Michigan, man. So let's talk about it, and let's get into it before we end the show. So arguably, guys, I'm gonna go to you first, Banks. Are these the 2 best teams in the country? Can we now definitively say that Alabama and Georgia have proven themselves as to be the best teams in the country?
Absolutely. I mean, that was pretty much the talk before Halloween, that Georgia and Alabama were the best 2 teams in college football. It was always Georgia, Alabama, and the rest. And it showed this past New Year's Eve with Alabama handling their business with Cincinnati and Georgia handling their business against Michigan. And for all you Michigan fans out there that said that, we haven't seen an offense like you guys, yes, we have. It's called Arkansas. So, yeah, back to what I was saying. Yeah, the 2 best teams are in, Leo, and it's not even close.
Derek O, I pass it over to you. Definitively, are we seeing the 2 best teams play for the national championship come January 10th up in Indianapolis?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's all it's saying. Yes, sir. So they did prove their points, Alabama, and we will see. Because Alabama did struggle a little bit, and I know a lot of folk were saying, damn, did Alabama fall off? They took an L against Texas A&M. They struggled a couple of games this season, but Saban is back. Saban is back, man. Make no mistake about it, man. If it's one thing, man, this dude know how to do is to bounce back, and they did. I was glad to see Cincinnati get a shot, put themselves up there, man. And they gave it what they had, but we just knew. I think that the thing with Cincinnati is, man, from a talent perspective, man, that they were just going to be outmatched. Once you got, and we saw and like we talked about, Derek Cole, before we closed out 2021, man, that they were going to give Alabama everything they could initially off the jump. But just from a talent perspective, just from, it was only going to be so much you could do. And then that talent, that depth of Alabama was going to eventually get you. And that's what it did. And then they're being cute. Like, I didn't realize that their defensive scheme, that they played at kind of a 3-3-5 set or whatever they call it, man. you ain't seen a team, with the magnitude and the talent of Alabama, and you really thought that was going to help your cause. But man, eventually Alabama was able to say, okay, you know what? Hey, it was nice to play you guys, man, but let's go ahead and close this thing and finish this thing out. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's just get into the nitty gritty of it, man. I'm going to you, Banks, first here. These teams are no strangers to each other. Kirby has never beaten Saban. We're going into this national championship game, man. Let's do it, man. Who's winning this game, Banks? Who's winning this game? How do you feel going into this, and who's winning this game?
Well, judging off that last game in the SEC championship, I'm not feeling too confident at all. Nick Saban is almost well, let me back up. It's not about the coaches. I think if it's anything, it's about Kirby. It's mental at this point. You know what I'm saying? You had some 2 close losses and a blowout. I don't know. You can call it, Alabama had more to play for. They tried to get in. Georgia knew they was automatically in, so maybe that's why that was a letdown. I don't know. I don't know what you want to call it, but all I know is next Monday is all for the marbles. There is no tomorrow after Monday. Who wins? Oh gosh, I don't know, man. I mean, it's the way that Saban schemed for Georgia the first time. I think he probably had a elixir for the defense that we trot out there every week. I'm going to have to give the edge to Bama. I don't know. I really don't know, guys. I mean, Georgia could very well win this game, but at the same time, Bama seems like they have a mental edge over Georgia. So if Georgia can ever crack that seal, you know what I'm saying, then prove me wrong. But I'm going to have to give it to Bama.
Derico, I'm coming over to you, man. How do you feel about this matchup, man, and where we are, and what's going to happen?
Well, my brother, we wore these same jerseys today for some reason because we twinning for real today. Like I've gone back and forth with that game where we got destroyed by Alabama, and at this point, it is something that like Saban is living rent free in Kirby head. Period. I mean, the only way that we can win this game is if our defense that has been playing like the best defense in the country all year decides that they're going to be the best defense all year again. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we got to utilize James Cook more, and we got to utilize our wide receivers more. We got pretty good wide receiver over there in Pinkins, but we trying to exploit other folks. So I just hope that we're able to do that.
All right, I think we just lost Banks, man. I don't know what happened on that, man, but I'm going to go ahead and close this thing out, Derico, man. The way I feel is like this here, man. I don't feel like, I hate to say this, I just don't think that Kirby is going to get this Georgia team hype enough and prepared enough to go out and beat Alabama. As a matter of fact, I feel that this is going to be another embarrassing situation. Unfortunately, I feel like we're going to get embarrassed in Indianapolis again. I don't know why my gut is telling me that, man, but I just don't feel like Kirby. I just don't feel like Kirby can get them there, man. I just don't feel like Kirby can get them there. And I think that this is going to be another embarrassing situation. I am a Georgia fan, and I know a lot of people are not going to like what I have to say about this, but Georgia is a talented team. Georgia has just as much talent as Alabama. Georgia is a tough team. Georgia has a hell of a defense. But the edge is going to be coaching. The edge is going to be coaching. And at the end of the day, I don't feel as though Kirby has enough to outcoach Nick Saban. And I'm sorry. I want to see Georgia win their first national championship in 40 plus years. I really do. And yes, Derico, there's a quarterback situation brewing in Georgia. It has been. Stetson Bennett played a phenomenal game against Michigan. But we saw a lot of flaws in the SEC championship, which brings me back to what I just said. I don't think that Kirby can outcoach Nick Saban. Georgia has all of the talent to beat Alabama. But what this is going to come down to is who can outcoach who. Saban has proved time and time again that he is the master for a reason. And even though he's already beaten Georgia in the SEC championship, and you would think that everything will point in Georgia's favor going into this game, it's still going to come down to, in my opinion, coaching. And I think that Kirby is going to get outcoached again by Saban. Unfortunately, Georgia fans, you guys are going to be upset with me when I say this. Kirby cannot and will not outcoach Nick Saban. He won't. Georgia will get embarrassed in the national championship, and I'm saying this right now, because Kirby Smart will not outcoach Nick Saban. Unfortunately, this is what it is, and this is what it will be as Georgia fans until we get someone that can actually get in and want to decide that they want to outcoach somebody. I just don't think Kirby has it in him to outcoach Nick Saban. I really don't. That's just my opinion. I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. But the way I feel right now is that Saban is just going to say, you know what, that's my young Padawan over there. You know, I taught him everything he knows, and I will outcoach him again, and Alabama will be victorious again. Kirby proved me wrong. Kirby proved me wrong. Banks, before we close it out, go ahead.
Well, Kirby won't prove you wrong if he don't get the right quarterback situation together. I mean, if you're down double digits and you still got Stetson Bennett out there, that's already the battle lost right there, because you got a 5-star quarterback who you brought in for that situation just for that reason, to beat a team in a shootout.
48-17 Alabama. 48-17 Alabama. It's not even close. Georgia gets walked off the field. 48-17 Alabama. That's my call. If anybody else wants to give a score, be welcome to it. Saban out-coaches Kirby again, 48-17. Derek O?
They ain't gonna put up that many points. The defense, I think the defense gonna have some pride. They just ain't gonna put up. They're not gonna put up that many points, Doc. I'm giving it 28-24. Alabama.
I don't trust Kirby. I don't believe in Kirby at all. I don't, even though they had a good showing against Michigan. I really don't. Kirby is not that dude, man. He is not that dog. He's not. If he would have been that guy, he would have proved it to me in the SEC championship, man, and not have the audacity to think that we're in this playoff. So let's scale it back. I'm sorry, guys. I have this is no knock on anybody. It's no knock on Nakobe Dean. It's no knock on James Cook. It's no knock on the talent that we have at Georgia. My beef and my concern is with Kirby and being out-coached by Saban and being embarrassed by Saban. Like you just said, Derek Cole, rent-free. 48-17 Alabama. And it is what it is. It is what it is. Banks, did you want to say something else?
I'm going to say 31-28 Bama. I think it's going to be a closer game. I don't think it's going to be no slugfest like that again. I'm kind of like Stace. I think they got more pride than that. They know they got embarrassed the first time, Leo. Listen, if it comes down to they getting ass wiped again by 40 points to 17, then yeah, Kirby needs to be fired, because you cannot be an SEC coach and your main job is
how many chances do you get?
Let me finish.
How many chances do you get?
Let me finish. If
Go ahead,
you're gonna be that coach in the SEC and your job is to win a championship and get in the playoffs, and you can't beat one team, and you keep getting curb stomped by the same team over and over and over and over and over again, you don't need a job anymore. You don't need a job anymore if that's the case. So I will give them at least benefit of the doubt of the fact that this is the absolute last straw. If you come out there and you lay an egg once again, then his seat needs to be on fire. On fire. I mean, you need to put a dragon behind there.
Fellas, we've just told this story. We've collectively just told this story. Kirby's stubbornness to make changes on the fly. Kirby's loyalty and allegiance to quarterbacks that can't get it done, Kirby's reluctancy to do what he needs to do in order to be that guy, because he's too concerned, in my opinion, about how everybody's going to feel about him. When we know the guy on the other side of the field doesn't give a damn. All he's concerned about is holding up trophies. At the end of the day, like I said, man, it's not about the talent. This is going to be Kirby versus Saban, and I don't think Kirby is there to do it. Kirby, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, because this is all on you. This is you not getting any sleep. You getting these boys prepared, because if you get blown out, if you lose, this is completely on you. I think we all can agree this has nothing to do with talent. Georgia has had the top recruiting classes over the last 3 or 4 years. This has nothing to do with talent. At the end of the day, this L is going to be strictly on who? Who's this L going to be on, fellas? Who's this L going to be on? It's going to be on Kirby Smart, straight up. Straight up.
That's all I got to say.
That's pretty much Banks? In a nutshell, dude. If you're gonna get your ass destroyed on national TV yet again, then you don't need the job here in UGA. End of story, bro. End of story. Your only job is to beat that team. You prove that you can beat Florida. You prove you can beat everybody else. If you can't beat that team with the team that you came from, then you gotta go, brother. I'm sorry. If you get put 40 points on you and you only score 17, and mind you, you keep that 5-star quarterback on the bench, I want him gone. I want him gone. I don't want to hear no extra what he could possibly do, and he has a chance to no. Mm-mm. You brought in JT Daniels for a reason.
I got you. Hey, so look, Banks, can you hear me, man? We're gonna have to close this up, man. We're having some technical difficulties here at the end. So let's go ahead and wrap this up right now. And hopefully next week, man, or in coming up, we can have another show after the national championship. Maybe we'll feel a little better about this, man. Derek Cole, kick it over to you. Tell everybody how they can find you, brother.
And you can reach me on the Twitter at VSU96SDD. You can reach me on IG at Derrico_Virgo. And you can reach me on the Facebook at Stacy D. Derrico.
Banks, let everybody know where they can see you, how they can get at you, brother.
Find me at Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook and Baby Banks 80 on Twitter and the Gram. And we're gonna have to find this medium that's connecting this psychic pass between me and Derrico. If you want to dress like me again next week, just let me know, brother. I mean, I'm pretty much sure my closet matches yours.
I need to tell me what the lottery numbers. Tell me what the lottery numbers gonna be next week, man. Look, anyway, man, you can catch the Leo G Show, man, on Facebook if you're still there. You can also catch us, the Leo G Show, the #1 on Twitter. Also, you can catch me on my personal Twitter account. That's Southern Set with 2 T's. Southern Set with 2 T's. As always, it's been real, man, doing the Leo G Show, man. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and we look forward to giving you the next installment, man. Let's go.